You didn't have to ask if you could make it, but rather should you make it. Half-Life 2 Overcharged is a mod that received a lot of hype and recognition ever since it got announced. It was released in February 2022, and today I'll be taking a look at it, mostly because it was requested by quite a few people. First, I'll show what settings I was playing on in case you have any questions or want to point out something that I did wrong. I pressed on reset, so a lot of things got turned on, set to default. After that, I turned on a couple of visual effects. Now, rather than doing this video in a segmented way like I usually do, splitting between gameplay, graphics, sound and such, I'll just share my overall experience with everything included, like in a more sequential fashion. So this mod is heavily inspired from mods like Black Mesa Source, Smod and games like Opposing Force. At least that's what the ModDB page says. But I feel like this mod wants to be the spiritual successor to Smod first and foremost. Now, I'll be truthful with you. This is the third draft of the review you're hearing, as my first two drafts were very harsh, I guess. I have nothing against the creators of the mod, nor do I have any grudge, but I honestly don't get it. I saw so much hype for this, I thought it was something out of this world, but all in all, it's just another power fantasy mod that plops in a billion different things and calls it a day. I don't have any issues with mods like these, like Smod, but this doesn't let you actually enjoy the power fantasy it's trying to present. Now, before I start ranting like the little man-child I am, I'd like to share what I actually liked about Overcharged. The visual effects. Specifically the addition of that global light, even though it's buggy, but it still adds a new dynamic shadow to the world. That's something that I was surprised to see, and I kinda like it, but it still needs some more work. The mod also gives you a ton of different shaders and effects as well, but honestly most of them aren't even worth using. I'll showcase that in a bit. Also, there's multiple effects that do almost the same job, and I don't know why I'd need those extra effects. Here I looked down and I realized I can see my body. This is when the scuffed nature of this mod started to spill in. I mean, it's cool to see your body, but seeing how rough the animations have aged, this just puts me off really. But hey, it's not a big deal, I don't mind it much. Later on we see a cremator just blasting a person into particles, and nice. And these are here for some reason? The mod also modifies the maps very subtly, like adding in extra NPCs or some extra or cut locations into maps like Ravenholm. That's a nice touch. In the apartment block is where you can see that global light thing. The sunlight comes in through the windows and it casts shadows and all that, and it looks cool. The starting was alright, but let's skip ahead. Here I want to show you what happens if you want to turn on all the visual effects provided in this mod, and
What the fuck is that?
so I think if I have the option to turn off or on the effects, I want there to be only the necessary effects. The ones that do improve the visuals, like one for each category. By default, have them all turned on so people know what kind of effects you, the mod author, wants the players to see, and then give us the option to turn off those effects. What's happening here is that a billion different effects have been added, and it's up to you to take the time and fiddle around and see which one is good and which one is not. Like my guy, I want to play the game, I don't want to spend all this time just tweaking the settings. Next thing I noticed, and you can correct me on this if I'm wrong, but the bullets ricochet. Like, the enemy bullets can swoop off of the wall and still hit you even if you're hiding behind cover. Next up is the kick. The almighty kick of God that can blast away enemies. I mean, it's powerful as hell. And I know what you're about to comment.
Red, you're supposed to turn down the value of the kick.
I know. My question is why? Why is the kick's damage value set so high by default? What's the point of having a default preset if I'm required to change the values anyway? When I said I pressed on reset so I can play with the default settings, in my crazy old mind, I was thinking that the default settings is the way I'm supposed to enjoy this mod. And let's play another game. The game is called Can You See the Crosshair? Cause I sure as shit cannot see it. And if you tell me there's an option to turn up the opacity in the settings, I swear I will throw you off the citadel. Let's talk about the weapon models. The pistol looks great, it's well animated, and I just love how the blood splatter can be seen on the hands and pistols. And while shooting the Metro Cops, I remembered that the mod was advertising a much more improved combat or enemy AI. But as far as I could tell, the most significant change was that the Combine are now more accurate and shoot their pistols much faster. I didn't see any other changes, but there were some changes made to the snipers. We'll get to that in a bit. And of course, now that the Combine are big fans of Angelina Jolie and Wanted, they can now ricochet bullets. Right. One feature I do appreciate is the slow motion bullet time effect. It's fun slowing down an encounter and becoming more aware of what's around you. Every time, if a mod or a game has a slow motion thing, I'll automatically like it. I have a biasness to like it. Alright. Now the mod also adds in a ton of new enemies. At first you'll be seeing hound eyes and bull squids, but along with those additions, it also adds more enemies to the map. Like if in the retail game if there's 2 Metro Cops in one place, in this mod there'll be 4. And wherever there was an empty spot, there's now a hound eye or a bull squid there. I felt that the enemy placement wasn't given much thought. It feels like the mod just adds in enemies just so it can be quote-unquote challenging. At this point I was getting a migraine from all this bloom, and turns out the bloom was already off. So I turned down the HDR scale and this is what happened. So I went in the original settings and just turned off HDR and bloom altogether. I've heard that this mod has a lot of bugs and it's not stable. While I haven't encountered that many bugs, it does tend to crash a lot when loading into new levels and chapters. In the tunnels, I was about to change the level, but then I saw this. A Hydra. 2 of them actually. As I said earlier, I felt that the enemy placement wasn't given much thought. It feels like the mod just looks at a puddle of water and goes, oh shit, yeah, let's add a Hydra here. Then we pick up a M92 Beretta, and honestly, this looks so different. I mean, the theme or aesthetic or design, the style, that's what I'm trying to talk about. Like, notice how the pistol has a different style than the Beretta. Like, visually, these both models, and actually the rest of the models, look so inconsistent with each other. Like, the pistol and the rest of the native Half-Life 2 weapons look like they're taken from the same weapon pack, while this M92 feels like it's from something else, and if I'm not wrong, I think this is from Call of Duty 4, ported over to Gary's mod, ported over to this mod. And this theme of weapons looking out of place continues throughout all of the mod, and at one point it just feels like you're playing Half-Life 2, but through Gary's mod. Then a pit drone from opposing forces just standing there, around the corner, and of course there's a bull squid hiding in the dark. Why wouldn't there be?
I felt that the enemy placement wasn't given much thought.
I loaded up Water Hazard next. Things went as they should, till I saw this guy, which was kinda cool. And I don't know about the inclusion of Race X in this. It just feels off. I'd rather have different variations of head crab zombies or head crabs, but having an entirely new species as an enemy is kind of weird. There was this little place added here, that was kinda nice. Now let's talk about Ravenholm. Right off the bat, we encounter a fast zombie. Do you remember the first time you saw a fast zombie in Half-Life 2? Do you remember how the game built up that moment when you saw it jumping across rooftops, howling and screaming while you shat your pants thinking,
What the fuck is this thing?
well, all of that anticipation, gone in 5 seconds. Let's talk about vanilla Ravenholm for a second. Do you know what made it fun? The use of the gravity gun. Hey, that rhymed. I know I always make fun of this chapter when I'm streaming it or covering it in other videos, saying it's a big tech demo for the physics, but it was fun, and that's what mattered. But adding in a gonum straight up ruins what little fun you could have had with the gravity gun. While you could one-shot everyone with a launched prop, The Gnome does not die in one hit. Another thing was that by this point in the game, in the retail game at least, your ammo is depleted. You don't have a lot to take on everyone here, and there's not much ammo to pick up either. So you had to use the gravity gun. It was a necessity. But thanks to the additional weapons in this mod, you don't even need the gravity gun anymore. All of that throwing props thing, gone. What I did like was the addition of Randall Pond, a cut location, and the addition of Annabelle. The shotgun or rifle that Father Gregory uses, that was cool, but too bad Annabelle is as powerful as a BB gun. Here we can see another example of the global light feature. Looks cool. Ravenholm was done dirty in this mod though. Adding in more enemies and making the gravity gun useless is the main reasons. Next up, I wanted to look at Highway 17, and right off the bat I saw I could pick up the fire extinguisher. Cool, I guess. Can't really see how this will come in handy, but okay. While being transported by the magnet, I noticed that there was a Voltigore, but too bad the game kept crashing whenever I tried to drive the car. So I skipped a few levels using the console, and now I had a M4? Okay. And this is lifted straight out of Counter-Strike? Cause it sure feels like it. I also had the Shock Trooper buck weapon thing or whatever, and of course a Glock, and you know what? Watch NoClick's video if you're curious how many weapons are in this mod, cause it's just absurd having this many weapons in the mod. In the original game, each weapon has a unique role. Here you have so many choices, it's just confusing. I'd prefer less high quality looking weapon models than a bunch of too many mixed quality weapons.
But Rad, you can limit the amount of weapons in the set.
Shut! Okay? Just shut it. You know what's the first thing when I look for when trying a new game or mod? Is that it's enjoyable, or at least it's challenging but not unfair. In many places, the mod implements the classic design of more enemies means more fun and challenging gameplay. No, that's not the case, my guy. Having 20 enemies in a tight hallway doesn't mean it's fun, especially when the weapons aren't even that powerful, while the enemies do double the damage that they usually do. Unbalanced is what I'm trying to get at. This mod is unbalanced. Next up is where I absolutely lost my shit. Remember how I said the Combine's bullets ricochet or something? Well, it seems like that also applies for the snipers as well. So if I try to find cover from the snipers, I'll still get shot. So I thought, hey, what I'll do is quickly run and throw grenades at them, right? That's what you're supposed to do. But guess what? You can't equip a grenade. You press a button, T I think, on your keyboard, and it'll do a whole animation before actually throwing it. The snipers do double the damage and shoot faster after locking onto you, so you have fuck all chance of clearing this without turning on God mode. And you know what I found after I recorded all the footage? That I could change this map ad thing to light, and it'll decrease the difficulty in the number of enemies that spawn. And that is absolutely bullshit. I didn't know what the hell is a map ad, and even if I did, light just seems to imply it'll not include anything. I want to see the new things. Maybe try defaulting map ad's value to light and change the name from light to say normal or something. And change the overcharged one to say hard. I can't recommend this mod to anyone. I straight up don't like it. Even fans of Smod might find this to be a little too unbalanced to have fun in. I know and understand that the people behind it put in effort to make this, and I honestly feel bad, but this mod does need more polish, reduction of enemy count, and make the combat actually fun. Oh, and also reduce the number of weapons, because right now it's absolutely ridiculous. And if you like this mod or have fun in it, then more power to you, but I just can't. Maybe I just raised my expectations too much when I first heard about Overcharged. Maybe I thought this would be something that'll replace Mmod or Smod. But at most, it's just a bunch of Garry's Mod add-ons put into Half-Life 2, bundled as a single mod that crashes a lot. Excuse me, I need to take a break now. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.